Hello friends, a very good morning. Welcome to 2nd July daily Hindu news analysis from LTX classes. Friends, let us see the today's agenda. What are the important articles from the newspaper today? So some of the newspapers, that mean the articles that we are taking are from the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. So the following are this is the agenda that we will cover. Let us see the first and foremost article. India, Pakistan exchange the lists of civilian prisoners and as well as the fishermen. So this we have to read under GS paper 2. Okay, international relations, specifically bilateral relations between India and as well as its neighbors, specifically India and as well as Pakistan. So this we have to cover under GS paper 2. And the second important article, Bombay High Court hears the petitions against the fact check unit. This we have to cover under GS paper 2 polity. So this is associated with the polity. So we have to cover. Then the next article, June's gross GST revenue growth slows to a 3-year low. No official statement. So this is from the GS paper 3 economy. We have to cover it under GS paper 3 economy. Then what is on the agenda for the 16th Finance Commission? So this we have to cover under GS paper 2 polity we have to cover. Yes friends. Then next article, RBI and as well as ASEAN to create a platform for the instant retail payments. This we have to cover under GS paper 3 economy and specifically banking related. And finally today's editorial, Israel is facing a strategic defeat in Gaza. This we have to cover under GS paper 2 international relations. Yes friends, these are the articles which we have to cover, and these articles are picked from the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. I hope it is clear, right? I think you are excited to start the first article. Yes, let us start the first article. India, Pakistan exchange the list of civilian prisoners and as well as the fishermen. So recently, so the two countries which are involved here are India and as well as Pakistan. So whoever the Pakistani fishermen and as well as the prisoners who are under the Indian custody, and at the same time, so whoever the Indian fishermen and as well as the other people which is prisoners under the Pakistan custody, so the lists have been exchanged. Whoever all under the mutual custodies. See, for example, here if you see, India and Pakistan on Monday exchanged the list of civilian prisoners and fishermen in each other's custody. The Ministry of External Affairs said and added that 2,000 fishermen and 71 civilian prisoners have been repatriated from the Pakistan since 2014 as a result of the sustained efforts. Friends, you should understand that there is an agreement between India and as well as Pakistan, which was signed in the year 2008. And that agreement is agreement on consular access. Agreement on consular access is the agreement between the India and as well as Pakistan. And as part of this agreement, so the lists have been shared regarding the prisoners and as well as the fishermen under their respective custodies. Okay, let us see these important points. The first and foremost point, this is agreement on the consular access, and this agreement, when it was signed in the year 2008 between which two countries? Between India and as well as the Pakistan signed the agreement on the consular access. Okay, then second point, in this agreement, which is agreement on consular access, there is an important section called as section 4. So this agreement states that both the government of both the nations would provide the consular access. Friends, consul is basically a representative. So consul is a representative. Representative of whom? Representative of one country. For example, if you consider these two countries, India and as well as the Pakistan. In Pakistan, we have an Indian consular wing. So there our representative will be sitting. So that means consular wing will be there in Pakistan. Okay, this is the Indian consular wing. And what is the duty of this particular consular wing? The duty is whoever all the Indians who are there in the Pakistan, so their welfare, this particular consular wing is more concerned, and vice versa. Similarly, the Pakistan will also have their own consular wing in our particular country. It's not specific to India and Pakistan. It is applicable to for all the countries. We will have an embassy and we will have a consular wing. Okay, consular is not a diplomat, please be clear, is not a diplomat. He is just a representative of our country who is more concerned about our country's people in that host country. So for example, here in Pakistan, as part of this agreement which was signed in the year 2008, what they are saying is that both the governments of both the nations should provide the consular access, very important point. And then this has to be provided within the 3 months to citizens of another country under arrest, detention or imprisonment in the another country. For example, any person who, when he is arrested, for example, let us assume that he is an Indian. An Indian got arrested in Pakistan or imprisoned or detained. Then in that context, within 3 months, he has to be given the access to the Indian consular wing, so that they will take the complete responsibility of this particular person, like by arranging all the required formalities and etc etc. Okay, so that is what is mentioned in this particular agreement. And recently India and as well as Pakistan exchanged the lists of the civilian prisoners and as well as fishermen in the each other's custody. Whoever there in the Pakistan's custody, that is nothing but the Indian prisoners and as well as the civilian prisoners and as well as fishermen, and at the same time vice versa, these lists have been exchanged, and they have been exchanged as part of the agreement on Consular Access 2008. Agreement on Consular Access 2008. Yes, clear, right? And every year they will be this type of exchanging will be there on January 1st and as well as July 1st. Since yesterday it is July 1st, so they both have exchanged these particular lists, and that have been done as part of which agreement? Agreement on Consular Access 2008. Who is basically a consul? Consul is a representative of our country, generally not a diplomat. So who is concerned with the welfare of the another country, people of their own respective country. For example, that means in the context of Pakistan, our Indian consular wing people will take care of the Indians who are there in the Pakistan. That's it. And with respect to this consular relations, internationally, there was one international agreement, okay, or a treaty kind of thing, which is known as Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. And it was adopted in the year 1963. Very, very, very important. Okay, the Vienna Convention on Consular Access, it is an international treaty which defines the consular relations between two independent states. For example, India and as well as Pakistan, India and United States of America, etc. Now, who is a consul as per this? A consul who is not a diplomat is a representative, please be very clear, of a foreign state in a host country who works for the interests of his own countrymen. So his main obligation, his main duty is to work towards the interest of his countrymen, and whenever there was a need with respect to him, so he need to support them. At the same time, there was one important article in the Vienna Convention, which is article number 36. Article 36 of the Vienna Convention states that foreign nationals who are arrested or detained in the host country must be given the notice without any delay of their right to have their embassy or the consulate notified of that particular arrest. So that means within 3 months they have to immediately they have to give the they have to notify that so and so person of your national of your country have been arrested, have been detained. So this information need to be passed on immediately to the another country, whichever the foreign country which is there, they need to be given the information. This is mandated under the Vienna Convention of 1963. Here you can see Indian High Commission in Pakistan. Yes, friends. Now, with the name of Vienna Convention, you should not confuse. There are other conventions also with the names the same Vienna Convention. Like, for example, we have Vienna Convention of 1985. Vienna Convention of 1985 is associated with the protection of ozone layer. Okay, and also we have the subsequent protocol, which is Montreal Protocol. which is associated with the ozone depleting substances. Similarly, we have another Vienna Convention called as Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, and it was signed in the year 1972. This is concerned with the diplomatic relations between the countries. And one more important point, India is a party to both the conventions, both the Vienna Convention of 1985, which is associated with the ozone layer, and also the diplomatic relations, with Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. And friends, India is also a party to the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations also. India is a party to Vienna Convention on Consular Relations also. All these three conventions. So no, I mean UPSC will not ask you the question like Vienna Convention is often seen in the news, it is associated with. No, they may not ask you, because Vienna Conventions have multiple different types of agreements with respect to the name same Vienna Convention. So they will mention you Vienna Convention of 1972 is associated with. Vienna Convention of 1972 is associated with diplomatic relations. Vienna Convention of 1985 is associated with the protection of ozone layer, and Vienna Convention of 1963, what it is associated with? It is associated with the consular access. So these three are the international agreements which are in the news. So now from this particular article, what you need to understand is that there is an agreement between India and as well as Pakistan, that is known as Agreement on Consular Access, and that was signed in the year 2008 between those two countries. And as part of this particular agreement, the mutual sharing of the lists, exchange of lists has happened with respect to the prisoners and as well as the civilian prisoners and as well as the fishermen. And internationally, if you look into the internationally, there was an international treaty which is known as Vienna Convention on Consular Relations of 1963. So this convention says that whenever any foreign national has been arrested, detained or imprisoned, then immediately, so that particular embassy or the consulate wing people need to be intimated, so need to be given the information about that particular arrest by that host country. This is what is this thing. And India is a party to that of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, and with the name Vienna Convention we have two other important conventions, that is Vienna Convention of 1985, which is associated with that of the ozone layer, and the second one is the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which was signed in the year 1972. And India is a party to both Vienna Convention on ozone layer and also diplomatic relations and also consular relations. So these are the three important things that you need to aware from this article. Now let us go to the next article. Bombay High Court hears the petitions against the fact check unit. Friends, there is something, an organization called as fact check unit. Fact check unit. What is this fact check unit is all about? So this fact check unit, the government of India have constituted this fact check unit in the year 2019, and in March 2024 the Ministry of Electronics have notified this particular body under the IT rules 2021. So let me repeat again. So the fact check unit is one of the important organizations which was established in the year 2019, and in March 2024 the Ministry of Electronics and as well as have notified this particular body under the IT rules 2021. That is the basic. Second point is, what is the objective of this fact check unit? The objective of this fact check unit is that, for example, when somebody publishes any misleading information against the government of India, any misleading information, any false information, any wrong information, so which will pull down the image of the government of India, so then definitely this fact check unit will come in between and will declare this particular article, will expose this article as fake. It will mark this article as fake, so that it tries to say that to the people that whatever the article this is circulating, this is actually a fake article. So this was not published by, let us say, as a new scheme has been introduced by the government. This was a fake news is circulating. Then immediately the fact check unit will come into picture and say that, and mark this article as fake. So that what will happen? So then the people will come to know that, okay, a fake article is getting published. With this, it is trying to protect the interests of the government of India. So that government of India's interests, image, so will be saved by this particular organization known as fact check unit. Okay, then what is the issue is all about? Now the issue is, recently in Bombay High Court, a petition was filed against something, this fact check unit. Why? Because as per this IT rules 2021, there was one important clause. This clause says that any intermediary, like for example, it can be Facebook, it can be Twitter, any intermediary which is operating in our country, if a fact check unit has declared an article or marked an article or a news item as fake, then immediately these intermediaries should remove this particular article from their platforms. This is the important clause that is there in the IT rules 2021. Let me repeat again. If somebody published an article, XYZ article, then if the fact check unit feels that this article is fake, or misleading or spreading hatred against the government of India, then immediately it will declare it as fake. If it is declared as fake, so then the intermediaries, the platform on which it is posted, it is now their responsibility to remove this article immediately from their platforms. This is what is the clause which is mentioned in the IT rules 2021. This is getting criticized by many opposition parties or the many other protests, many people. Why? Because they are feeling that it violates the people's fundamental right under article number 19 of the Constitution, which is freedom of speech and as well as expression. Freedom of speech and as well as expression. So the protests are carrying out by the people. The opposition is getting carried out against this fact check unit, saying that this fact check unit will violate the fundamental right of the people. So particularly article number 19, which is freedom of speech and as well as expression. Why so? Why? Because, for example, if somebody published an article against the government of India, let us say it is a positive criticism only, criticizing the policies of the government or criticizing the action taken by the government of India, then in that context, what this fact check unit will do, this fact check unit will make it as a fake mark. And if it is marked as fake, then it is a responsibility of the intermediaries like the Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, etc. What they have to do, they have to remove this particular article immediately from their platforms. So what will happen now if somebody want to criticize the government in a positive way, if the fact check unit is marking it as fake and removing it in the platforms, so then where is freedom of speech and expression? This is one of the important questions that is being raised. And similarly, this fact check unit, now these are the protests that are happening. From the exam point of view, you need to be thorough with all these things. Definitely in UPSC 2025 mains or in the prelims 2025 or UPSC 2024 mains for that matter, definitely you can expect a question from the polity on this IT rules 2021 and also this fact check unit. Yes friends, let us see what is it now. Whatever the points that we have understood, so we will just read those points here. The fact check unit was established in the year 2019. It was started with an objective to act as a deterrent. To whom? To creators and disseminators of the fake news and as well as misinformation. Whoever is passing the misinformation, whoever spreading the fake news, this particular fact check unit will check the facts and make it label it as a fake if it is found to be misleading or if it is the fake news. Then as per IT rules, what should happen? Then immediately the IT intermediaries, who are there, so those platforms, if this content is hosted on their platforms, immediately they have to take this out from their platforms. So some majority of the people are viewing it as a violation of their fundamental right under article number 19 of the Constitution. It also provides the people with the easy avenue to report the suspicious and questionable information pertaining to the government of India. So when this fact check unit is also providing a facility to the people, so that whenever you come across any fake news, any misleading information, so then you can report it to this fact check unit about the any suspicious or the questionable information with respect to government of India. So then also you can report it. That is what is another function of the fact check unit. Then what does fact check unit actually do? It will actively monitor. It will actively monitor the complete internet, like whatever the articles which are getting published against the government of India. So it will try to see it, and it will detect and counter the disinformation campaigns, thereby ensuring that false information of the government of India is promptly exposed and as well as corrected. Yes. Finally, recently, that means in the March 2024, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology notified this fact check unit under the IT rules 2021. Friends, this fact check unit is part of the Press Information Bureau. You should understand that yes, fact check unit, maybe it is required. So because in order to avoid the false information, if you see the the internet, so the completely fake news and as well as misinformation or disinformation is getting spread all over the internet. Then in this context, in this era of technology, so the organization like this fact check unit is important, because to protect the interests of the government, because its image should also be not to be damaged. At the same time, it should, and at the same time the opposite side is the fundamental rights of the people should also be protected. That means there need to be a dedicated balance between protecting the interests of the government and at the same time protecting the fundamental rights. So that is what you should understand. And let's see what the Bombay High Court decides as far as this particular fact check unit's validity is concerned under IT rules 2021. Okay, clear? We have talked about two important articles, friends, up till now. The first important article, we talked about the bilateral relations between India and as well as Pakistan, where we talked about an agreement called as Agreement on Consular Access. That agreement was signed in the year 2008, and also and so on and so forth we talked about. Then we talked about two important other Vienna Conventions. There are three Vienna Conventions. The first one is Vienna Convention on Consular Relations of 1963, Vienna Convention on the Protection of Ozone Layer 1985, Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1972. So these are the three important Vienna Conventions that we need to cover from the exam point of view. And then we talked about the fact check unit. How come this fact check unit and how it is constituted under IT rules to 2021? At the same time, how it is violating the fundamental rights, specifically under article number 19, which is freedom of speech and as well as expression, that is guaranteed by the constitution itself. So now the ball is in the courts, in the court of courts, basically, to solve this particular issue, to or address this issue, to check whether this fact check unit is really violating, and the IT rules, the specific provision is violating the fundamental rights under article number 19 or not, or what is the validity of this fact check unit. So coming down the line, we will see the judgments from these particular courts. Then we have to discuss this article again. So irrespective of this judgment, this article is very, very important from the UPSC perspective, definitely, because the fundamental rights of the people are involved. At the same time, so the spreading the fake news and also protecting the interests of the government is involved. So taking all this into consideration, this article will be very important. Let us go to the next article. June's gross GST revenue growth slows to a 3-year low, no official statement. Friends, GST stands for Goods and Services Tax. Everybody knows it. True, right? So I would like to take this as an opportunity to know some basic points about GST, so that you can read further about the GST. The basic points are, friends, earlier we used to have different taxes, like for example we have value added tax, excise duty, service tax, etc. Different taxes are there. Then a need was felt to subsume all these taxes and bring out a unified single tax. So that's how all these taxes got subsumed and brought a new tax called as GST, which is Goods and as well as Services Tax in our country. And the next important question is it a direct tax or an indirect tax? Friends, these points are mainly to the beginner oriented who is not at all aware of what exactly is GST is all about. If you are already aware, so no worries. But if you are not aware, please try to know these basic points at least. Okay, whether GST is a direct tax or an indirect tax, you should be very clear that it is an indirect tax. Why? Because in this indirect tax mechanism, because we are not directly paying the tax to the government. Unlike Direct taxes example is personal income tax. In personal income tax, you are directly paying the tax to the government. But here, we are not directly paying to the government. So we are paying to a service or a good, and from there it will be flown. It will be going to the government. Isn't it right? So if you go to a restaurant, then so CGST and as well as SGST will be charged, and based on that, and from there the revenue will go to the government. So therefore it is an indirect tax regime which is not directly paid by the customers to the government, and income tax is an example. When it came into force, it came into force on 1st July 2017 through the implementation of an important constitutional amendment called 101 Constitutional Amendment Act, 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. So by implementing the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, GST came into existence on 1st July 2017. And yesterday it is July 1st July 2017. And yesterday it is the 1st July. And as part of the 1st July, now this is 7th anniversary was marked recently. Recently, the July 1st to 2024 marked the 7th anniversary of the introduction of the GST. So therefore definitely you can expect a question on this GST also. And there are different types of GST, friends. We have SGST, CGST, and as well as IGST. SGST means state goods and services tax, CGST is central goods and services tax, and IGST integrated goods and services tax. Then comes one more important question, whether GST is a destination based tax or a source based tax. You should understand that GST is a destination based tax. So that means wherever the good is consumed or where the good is sold, so there only the GST will be levied, rather than not where it is produced. Read this point. GST is a destination based tax. It is a tax where the good is consumed, not where it is produced. Let me tell you with an example. So for example, let us consider a good, for example a watch. So now a watch was manufactured in a state. It was produced, so the production happened in that state, and the same watch was sold in that state only. So then in that context it is known as intrastate. Okay, in this intrastate, a tax of about 18% was levied, out of which CGST will be 9% and as well as SGST will be 9%. CGST revenue will go to the central government, SGST revenue will go to the state government. This is intrastate. Now let us assume that means the production and as well as the sale both happened in the same state only. Now there was one other case where there was a good. Now the production has happened in the state 1, the good is produced, and in the state number 2, the sale has happened. Then on this good, something called as IGST will be imposed. This is interstate supply. On interstate supply will attract the IGST. So IGST's revenue will first go to that of the central government, and then some share out of it will be given to the state where the good is consumed. And in this context, where the good is consumed, it is in the state 2. Correct, right? Because in state 1 it is produced, and in the state 2 it is consumed or sold. With these two examples, you understood that within the intrastate supply means CGST and SGST will be applied, and in the interstate supply means IGST will be applied. IGST revenue will first go to the government, and from out of it some share will be later be given to the corresponding consumer state. Wherever the good is consumed in that to that particular state, it will be given. And whether is it a source based tax or a destination based tax, it is a destination based tax, because wherever the good is taxed, that good will be taxed where the good is consumed rather than where it is produced. Yes friends, I hope you have understood, right? These are some of the basic points. And as far as the revenue is concerned, recently this gross GST revenue growth has slowed down to a 3-year low. June's gross GST, every month the Ministry of Finance will publish the GST collections every month, like how many lakh crore it was. Every month will be published by the Ministry of Finance, and as this month there is no official statement that they are saying, you need not bother about the figures, okay, but you need to bother about the concept. If you this is just the bare minimum things I would like to mention here. In our channel we have a dedicated videos with respect to GST, so where we have explained in depth. Please try to watch them. You will get a comprehensive understanding on GST. Yes, this was the third article that we have to cover. We have covered. Let us go to the next article. As far as the next article is concerned, what is on the agenda for the 16th Finance Commission? Yes. So an important article got published from, and it is important from the GS paper to polity, and with respect to polity, constitutional bodies, and in constitutional bodies it is Finance Commission. So Finance Commission of India is one of the important constitutional bodies of our country, and it is constituted under an important article called as article number 280 of the Constitution. Who will constitute the Finance Commission? So the Finance Commission will be constituted by the President of India. For every how many years? For every 5 years he will constitute the Finance Commission. Is that 5 years a hardened rule? No need. Whenever the President of India feels necessary, so that a commission need to be constituted for recommending the measures, then immediately the President can constitute. Recently, which Finance Commission was constituted? It was the 16th Finance Commission was recently constituted. Now it is a time for us to look into some basic points about Finance Commission. So the Finance Commission of India is a constitutional body constituted under article number 280 of the Constitution. Very, very, very important from this year's exam point of view, because very recently the 16th Finance Commission got constituted and Arvind Pangaria was its chairperson. And so the government of India have also given something called as TOR, terms of reference to that of the Finance Commission. Very, very, very important, friends. Last time UPSC and UPSC mains, they have asked, what do you know about the terms of reference which is given to the 15th Finance Commission? So then this time definitely you can expect a question like discuss something about the terms of reference that was given to the 16th Finance Commission. Definitely in a short way you can expect a question on this. So please be thorough with this question. Okay, some other basic facts. If you see, the 16th Finance Commission was recent. What is the primary function of this Finance Commission now? So the primary function is it should suggest you, it should recommend you how the distribution of the financial resources between the central government and as well as the state governments need to be carried out. Central government and as well as the state governments need to be carried out. How the financial resources should be distributed between the central government and also to the state governments. So how that revenue share has to happen, this is what should be recommended by the Finance Commission. And recently which Finance Commission was constituted? It was the 16th Finance Commission was constituted. And who is the chairperson? Arvind Pangaria is the chairperson. Here you can read in this point. The 16th Finance Commission was recently constituted by the Government of India, thereby appointing Dr. Arvind Pangaria as its chairman. Very important point, friends. Okay, this commission was requested to make the report available by the 31st October 2025. That means this commission has to submit its report by 31st October 2025. And this committee's recommendations will be implemented for which period? It will be implemented for 2026 to 2031 period. So for the 2026 to 2031 period, the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission will be implemented. Then before 2026, that means now which commission's recommendations? It was 15th Finance Commission's recommendations are getting implemented. So the government of India have given some terms of reference. So that means it's like a blueprint or like a syllabus kind of thing that you need to look into. These are the specific tasks that the government, that the 16th Finance Commission have to do. So there are 4 important tasks, friends. The first important is the division of tax proceeds. It should look into 2 important things. It should recommend the central government on how the taxes should be between the union government and also the states. This is known as vertical devolution. Vertical devolution, that is the union government to state government. How much the devolution has to happen. This is one of the tasks that is given to 16th Finance Commission. Similarly, out of the state's share, for each state how much should be allocated? Allocation of the shares among the states from these state tax proceeds. This is known as horizontal devolution. One is vertical devolution and the other is horizontal devolution. This is one of the tasks of the 16th Finance Commission that it has to work on and suggest the recommendations to the government. Please be very clear. So it is not binding on the government. Government need not follow the recommendations that was given by the Finance Commission. These are just recommendatory in nature only. The final call will be taken by the central government. And the second important terms of reference is the associated with grants in aid. So what it should do, what the 16th Finance Commission do, it should establish the principles governing the grants in aid for to the states from the Consolidated Fund of India. In simple words, it means to say that it should determine the amounts that has to be provided to the states as grants in aid. So generally central government used to give some grants in aid to the states. Now it is also the duty of the Finance Commission to suggest how much that we have to give to a particular state, that is known as in the form of grants in aid. So should also be recommended by the Finance Commission. And the third important, which is actually the today's article discussion, is also associated with the third terms of reference also only, that is known as enhancing the state funds for local bodies. Like for example, at the All India level, we have the Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, and at the state level we have the Consolidated Fund of each state. Now the Finance Commission should recommend the measures to strengthen this CFS, that is known as the Consolidated Fund of the state. Read this point. It should identify what should identify. The Finance Commission should identify the measures that should be taken to enhance the consolidated fund of a state, of the each state. So that means the Finance Commission should recommend the measures, so that those measures should help the states to increase their consolidated fund of the states, thereby increased devolution to the panchayats and as well as the municipalities, that is the urban local bodies. Okay, and this is the third important thing, that is the terms of reference. And finally, with respect to disaster management, evaluation of the disaster management financing, the commission should also review the current financing structures which are related to Disaster Management Act of 2005. So whatever the existing structures with respect to the financial resources sharing between the central government and state government over the disaster related initiatives, suggest some measures there also. So these four are the main terms of reference. What was the first one? The first one is associated with the vertical and as well as horizontal devolution, and the second one is associated with the grants in aid, and the third one is the enhancing the state's consolidated fund of the state, and finally the fourth one is the with respect to the disaster management related financing. Yes friends, come back to this article now. So these are the terms of reference, right? If somebody now UPSC if tomorrow ask you, so comment on the terms of reference that was given to the 16th Finance Commission, you need to mention all these points, okay, with the additional points that you accumulated through your additional study. What is on the agenda for 16th Finance Commission? Let me have a quick walkthrough. Here this article is completely revolving around the third term of reference that we have seen, okay, and at the same time they are talking about this urban local bodies, ULBs, and how come the cities are playing a major role in our country. So the author is pointing about how come the cities are playing a major role. If you see that, let us start with that. The 16th Finance Commission has begun its work, established under which article we have already seen, Article 280 of the Indian Constitution, primarily focusing on the devolution of the consolidated fund. Since the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments, what are 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments associated with? 73rd is associated with the panchayats, 74th is associated with the municipalities. Since they have given a recognition with the federal system, these amendments have introduced a new subclauses to article number 280, which mandate that Finance Commission should recommend the measures to increase the state consolidated funds for supporting the panchayats and municipalities. This is what we have read here, right? It should suggest some measures for what? Measures to increase the state consolidated funds, so that they can have the more devolution to the panchayats and as well as the municipalities. So this is what this article is talking about. Then first he started talking about the how cities are playing a major role in our economy. So they are saying that cities are generally considered as the engines of growth, okay. Then, and the cities are contributing about 66% of GDP and 90% of the government revenues. So therefore cities are an important spatial zone for the overall development of our country. But So this is what is the contribution of the cities in our country. But on the other side, if you see the resources that are being provided for this cities development, so that means to the urban local bodies is very, very, very less. This is what is the author's concern. He is saying that this intergovernmental transfers, something called as IGT. So that means the shares it is getting from the transfers that it is getting from the central and as well as state government. This IGTs are very low. It is about only 0.5 percentage of the CDP only. He is saying that the IGT, what is IGT? IGT means intergovernmental transfers. See, if you see intergovernmental transfers to the urban local bodies are just 0.5 percentage of CDP. See, he is just comparing the two things. On one side, he is saying that cities are playing a very crucial role in our country and in our economy. They are like contributing about how much percentage to GDP? They are contributing to 66% of our GDP and as well as about 90% of the total government revenue they are supporting. But on the other side, what revenue we are sharing with them? We are sharing only 0.5% of GDP. And if you compare it with the other countries, it is very, very low. And he has given some instances. For example, South Africa allocates only 2.6%, allocates 2.6%, 1.6% Mexico, Philippines 2.5%, Brazil 5.1% of their GDPs to the states. So that means they have recognized the importance of the states and accordingly they are providing these shares to them. But in our country, this IGT is very, very, very low. Now he is saying that there is a dire need to increase this IGT. See this point. Increasing the quantum of IGTs as a percentage of GDP is necessary. And he is also saying that we need to protect these urban local bodies. We need to strengthen these urban local bodies. In fact, because as part of the 74th Constitutional Amendment, it is one of the obligations on our country, on the government specifically, to improve the positioning of the local bodies. Clear, right? And he is also saying to the 16th Finance Commission that you should consider all these factors into consideration. So, and we need to strengthen the lower level, grassroots level democracy. So that means we have to strengthen these urban local bodies. We need to give them enough financial resources. This is all about this article, friends. What is on the agenda for the Finance Commission? In this context, you should know about what is Finance Commission of India, under which article it will be constituted and who will constitute it, what are the main functions, what are recently which Finance Commission was constituted, and what are the terms of reference for the latest Finance Commission, and what is the position of the urban local bodies in our country. On one side, how cities are acting as the growth engines of our country, and on the other side, how they are struggling for the resources, lack of resources for them. So these are the important points that you have to connect the dots with further study. Yes, clear, right? Yes. That's it, friends. Let us go to the next article. So these are some of the important articles. Let us go to the next article. Yes. RBI and ASEAN to create a platform for the instant retail payments. Yes, this was related to GS economy, GS3 economy article, friends. In this article, what is it in the news is there is something called as Project Nexus. Very, very, very important, friends, from the exam point of view. This is called as Project Nexus. What this Project Nexus is associated with is, it is associated with the cross-border retail payments. Cross-border retail payments. Who are the countries who are participating? So the countries who are participating is like Reserve Bank of India and as well as the 4 ASEAN countries, along with the Bank for International Settlements. Here if you see, the Reserve Bank of India and ASEAN countries have decided to create a platform to facilitate the instant cross-border retail payments. This platform is expected to go live by the year 2026. In a statement, RBI said that it has joined the Project Nexus, which is a multilateral initiative to enable the instant cross-border retail payments by interlinking the domestic FPS. Here you can see I have written it in the point wise. See, if you see here, Project Nexus is a multilateral international initiative to enable the instant cross-border retail payments. Friends, the main objective is it is an instant cross-border retail payment mechanism. In order to set up this particular facility, so this project Nexus is conceptualized by interlinking the domestic FPS, fast payment systems of all the countries. So they are like planning to have a instant cross-border retail payment system under this project known as Project Nexus. And who started this project? It was conceptualized by the innovation hub of the Bank for International Settlements. We have BIS, right? Bank for International Settlements. So this was conceptualized by the Bank for the International Settlements. And what is the main objective? So the main objective is to connect the So it aims to connect the FPs of the 4 ASEAN countries like Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand with India, which are the founding members. Recently in Basel, Switzerland, an agreement has been signed the day before yesterday, which is Sunday. An agreement to this effect was signed by the Bank for International Settlements and the central bank of all these 4 ASEAN countries, and as well as RBI at the Basel, Switzerland. So therefore, what is Project Nexus and who are all involved and and who are all the founding members? Definitely you can expect a question on this particular thing from GS paper 3 economy. In prelims sure shot you can expect a question. Consider the following statements about Project Nexus, or Project Nexus is associated with which of the following. So definitely you can expect a question on this. Please be thorough with this one as well. Yes friends, that's it then for this article. Then let us go to the last one, which is the today's editorial. Israel is facing a strategic defeat in Gaza. So here the characters that are involved are Israel and the second character is Gaza. Now rather than just directly seeing these things, let us understand from the map only. If we go to the map pointing, this is the map for West Asia. Okay friends, India is, we are actually in the South Asia, and this map is associated from the West Asia. The countries here involved are Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, etc. Now the characters for the today's article are, the one is Israel and the second one, if you see this one, which is Gaza. Gaza. The other one is Gaza. Here this is what is Gaza friends. Gaza is a narrow strip of land. Gaza is a narrow strip of land, so which is open to the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, and in Israel we have the Jews, in Gaza we have the Arab population, Muslims. This Gaza and as well as this West Bank, these two territories are generally considered as disputed territories, and they are claiming that they are part of Palestine, so which was not yet a independent nation, Palestine. I hope you have understood. So this is what is Israel, this is Gaza, and this is West Bank. And the most disputed place and a holy place, this is Jerusalem. So now this Jerusalem is being claimed by this the Muslim population and at the same time Israel people as well. So the Jews are saying that this Jerusalem is a holy place for them, and on the other side the Muslims are saying that the Jerusalem is a holy place for them as well. So therefore there is a religious conflict that is happening here. And the Israel, they have lot of illegal Jewish settlements. Illegal Jewish settlements. And here if you see in Gaza it is actually controlled by an important political group. They are saying that they are a political group, but the countries like United States of America are saying that they are a terrorist organization, and they are known as Hamas. Very important friends. Hamas are the people who are controlling this Gaza Strip from 2006. Okay, and there is a constant fight between Gaza and as well as Israel. So I think on one day you have seen thousands of rockets have been fired from this Gaza Strip on Israel. This is what they meant to say. From Gaza, so thousands of rockets got fired onto Israel. So there has been the clashes between this Israel and as well as the Gaza. I hope you have understood the points here. And the Gaza is under a blockade that was imposed by the Israel. That was under a blockade. Blockade means, so for every small thing, the Gaza people have to ask the permission of Israel in order to go out from the Gaza. That is what is the dire situation. So, and then and these are the some of the important points in this context. The article is talking about, if you read it again, Israel is facing a strategic defeat in the Gaza. This is what this article is all about. Let me have a quick walkthrough over this article. Okay, the first and foremost points, if you see the first paragraph, he is saying that what the main aim of the Israel now is to destroy the Hamas completely. That is what is the main aim of the Israel. When Israel declared its war on Gaza following a cross-border attack by Hamas on October 7th, 2023, killing at least 1,200 people, Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu said his forces would crush the Islamist militant group, that is Hamas. Since then, the Israeli leaders have said several times that eliminating Hamas is their top objective of the war. Gaza, which is a tiny Palestinian enclave sandwiched between the Israeli proper and the Mediterranean Sea, has practically been under Israeli blockade since 2007. I said it right. Hamas is under a blockade that was imposed by the Israel. After the October 7th attack, Israel imposed a total siege on the Gaza. It first pounded the enclave with heavy airstrikes before launching the all-out invasion. Here they are talking about how many people got affected and all the things. Now, the important issues that you have to understand here is that apart from the Gaza, there is another problem for the Israel. The problem is from the Lebanon. Here we have another important terrorist group called as Hezbollah. So these Hezbollah people are also launching the attacks on the northern side of the Israel, and on one front they are launching the attacks from the Hamas, they are countering, and on the other side they are countering the attacks from the Hezbollah, and even there are attacks from the Iran as well, the another important country. So now the Israel is facing the multiple challenges from the different groups. Like on one side it is facing the challenge from the Hamas, and on the other from Gaza, and on the other side it is facing the challenge from the Hezbollah, from the Lebanon, and third one from the Iran, and the fourth one, earlier if you see, there were many peace agreements have been signed by the Israel with the other neighboring Arab countries, like for example Saudi Arabia and all these countries, and UAE, United Arab Emirates. So now these countries are saying that there need to be a peace in the Gaza and as well as Western Asia, and what will be the peace solution that is offered, that is known as two-state solution. So UPSC has asked in multiple times. Two-state solution is often seen in the news. It is associated with, so in multiple ways, and Gaza Strip is associated with, and Golan Heights are often seen in the news. They are associated with. Which of the following countries does not open out to Mediterranean Sea? And there they asked about Jordan. So this geography is very, very, very important from the exam point of view, friends. So these are some of the important points with respect to this article that you should understand. You should understand that Israel is fighting on multiple fronts, with the Hamas on one side, with the Hezbollah on another side, and the third one is Iran on the another side, and the fourth one is now the peace agreements were also being suspended by the countries. So now everybody is expecting a peace in the West Asia, and that peace will come only through something called as two-state solution. So these are some of the others' viewpoints. I hope you are clear, right? Yes, friends. That's it. So if we recap once again, so we have talked about the editorial, and then we talked about the project nexus. What is project nexus we have covered. Then we moved into 16th Finance Commission and the position of the urban local bodies we have talked about. So there is a dire need to strengthen the urban local bodies revenues, because the cities are acting as engines of growth and they are contributing a lot to our GDP, and at the same time with respect to the revenue as well. And in that context, so there is a dire need to protect them. Then we talked about the GST's revenue has been lowered this time. We talked about some basics of the GST, and I also said that please visit our YouTube channel for more videos on the GST. Then we talked about fact check unit, which is under the Press Information Bureau, and it was constituted in 2019, and it was recently notified through the IT rules 2021 that you need to take care of. Then we should talk about the Vienna Convention. What is this Vienna Convention on Consular Relations? and then Vienna Convention on ozone layer protection of ozone layer, and then comes Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations. So you need to be thorough with all the things. And the agreement that is signed between the India and as well as Pakistan is the consular access on the with respect to the India and Pakistan bilateral agreement on consular access, which was signed in 2008 between India and as well as Pakistan. You need to be thorough with that as well. And finally, that's it. These are some of the important articles, friends, and this is the today's prelims question. Project Nexus is often seen in the news, is associated with A. Cross-border terrorism, cross-border payments, cross-border human trafficking, cross-border wildlife trafficking. So by now, I feel that you already know the answer. If you know the answer, please comment your answer in the comment box, friends. And at the same time, if you like the video, if you understood the articles, please like the video as well, because that will help us. It will give us more boost and as well as encouragement for us to come up with the more these type of quality videos on our LTX classes channel. Yes, friends. So that's it. I hope it was done. Yes, let us meet again tomorrow with the 3rd July daily Hindu news analysis, friends. Until then, please revise the notes and please further study on these particular articles, because these are very, very important from the exam point of view. Okay, all the best. Happy learning. Let's meet again tomorrow. Bye bye.